Hey, what is going on, YouTube community? It is Blue. We're back with another video. This one's going to be a really quick video, but basically somebody came on the Discord and was like, "Hey, Blue, do you have like a write-up for basically the rotation?" And it's like that would be super useful to this individual. And I don't really want to do a write-up, but then I was thinking, and I actually do have all of the information in my guide video in a write-up. Like, so that would probably be more beneficial to you than watching a really long video. And the thing about watching those videos, I feel like you're probably going to get some information out of them. You're going to be like, oh, okay, this is something I'm doing incorrectly, and you're going to remember that part, right? But as far as everything is concerned, you're not going to remember that. And also, I want to address something. I didn't mean to put this guy out here, but I liked his comment. He says, very comprehensive, which I appreciate, has fully convinced me to never play this spec ever if spreadsheets are involved and whatnot. So I went in and I started commenting with him. And basically, he's kind of like not really a fan of, like, why do you shred in during your rotation and stuff like that. I just want you guys to know, when I make these guide videos, all I'm doing is trying to figure out the numbers and then kind of put them in place as far as rotationally. I do not do a lot of this. Maybe if I turn on stream, I'm going to be a little bit more conscious of like doing the rotation correctly. But honestly, if my numbers are there and I'm like top damage, do I care to like really be sweaty and be like, oh, I'm going to shred during Berserk? Honestly, I don't even really think about that, and that's not something I do. But anyways, here it is, you guys. These are when I basically put my thoughts before creating my guide video. I put my thoughts into these spreadsheets, okay? So why not crit? Because crit was a main stat, so that's something that I kind of did. So some of these are addressed in my M plus guide, but a lot of these are kind of like my thoughts and things that I want to portray, say during the guide, but I might not even say this. Like, should I bite in between primal rats? Obviously, there was some numbers related to this, but I didn't care to include that. I just said no. M plus rotationally. I tried writing this out as if like, one of those guide videos would, where they're like, hey, first you do this, then you do this, then you do this. Should I refresh Thrash early so I can proc Blood Talons? Should I refresh Rake early so I can refresh Blood Talons? And you guys basically know, like, obviously out of the 3 spells you can do, Rake is the strongest, and that's what it's basically said. If there are at least 2 targets and you're talent into Double Claw Rake, you should always Rake over Shred. Initial damage of Rake is times 2 is better than 1 shred. And this is just initial damage, right? And we know that Rake obviously ticks really strong. You should Moonfire over refreshing Rake. So instead of like refreshing it, like, basically you just put on Rake, but now you need proc Blood Talon, so you should refresh it. That's what I mean by refreshing, even though like it's basically refreshing Rake when you shouldn't. But if you have the choice between Rake and Thrash, you should always choose Rake. And Moonfire, we're basically not even doing Moonfire. Maybe some of you guys would do Moonfire in M plus rotation, depending on the fixes. So maybe you should look into that. Like, this is maybe important to you. During Berserk, I think this is a Berserk in an AoE situation when it comes to, basically I should say, during Berserk, shreds. Oops, let me spell that correctly. Shreds, blah, 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 blah. Do I Tiger Sphere before my Stealth Rake? Basically save it for your Primal Fury rotation, so save it, a little bit, even though you're going to be missing out on that really strong initial Rake. Most of our damage comes from Primals and Rips, so just, if mobs aren't going to die. AoE rotation, so here's an AoE rotation you can look through, figuring out how Sabertooth and finishers interact. I think I kind of went over this in this video, but these are kind of like the raw numbers and how I figured that out. So anyways, these are, I will link those in the video below if they're beneficial to you. And I was just looking, I got to go to work in like 5 minutes. And you can find these in the video description below. How else to find them in the future? What I will do is I usually always leave a link to my Discord. What I did is I end up clearing all my pins from this just channel in general, and I actually pinned these all. So these are going to be all for you. They're viewable only. So if you ever have any issues and you're like, hey, Blue, can you do this? And one thing that I'm going to do is somebody at me on Discord and said, hey, like, can you help out? What is the rotation as far as like Berserk? Like, what is the rotation? You know, and I did kind of cover that as far as AoE, but single target I never covered that, and that's a very good question. Honestly, that I don't know the answer to. In Shadowlands, the answer was clearly like, oh, single target Berserk. What do? Well, you just shred and bite. That's your rotation, right? You don't even care about blood talents during Berserk. And why that might not be the case, well, in Shadowlands, bite was a majority of our damage, and shred was also the majority of our damage. Our bleeds did basically nothing except enhance bite. So at that point, it was like, well, do I enhance my bite, or do I just get more bites? And the answer was more bites, right? Is that the answer now? I don't know. Shred's basically not a lot of damage. It is helpful with talents that, you know, kind of help our shreds during Berserk, you know, which you guys are probably aware of. I don't need to go into. I don't know what it's called. But then bleeds do more damage, and then bites doing less damage, especially if you're in your N plus rotation, right? I'm not really spec'd into Taste of Blood, you know. And this was the talent, by the way, Frenzy. So my bite's doing less damage. So like, is it really? And basically what I'm doing is I'm still doing the old rotation, single target Berserk. I'm just cruising through the rotation with shred bites. Is that correct? I don't know. So what I will do is, if you guys ever have any questions, since these are viewable only, at me on Discord, or just comment on any of my videos. My channel's not super big with a ton of comments. I read comments every single day, and I try to respond to every single one. So you can at me on any video and be like, hey Blue, I think this is an issue now. Can you cover this and maybe, you know, make a video about this or put this in the document? Yes. Something I want to say before I'm late to work is I am having issues, you guys. A lot of people are using my weak auras, and I feel very bad. I myself, I don't mind if the weak auras has issues, but a lot of people are using it, so I feel a little bit more, you know, urgency. I have no idea how to change these buttons. So basically, if you don't use my weak auras, but you can possibly help me if you're a weak aura master, this is my energy bar, and what I do is I have lines that indicate when to bite, when you're 50 energy, right? And basically, those lines are going to change. So Pandemic, those lines are going to change depending on if I have 0 points in Tyros energy. That one I can do. That one's there. If I have 1 point or 2 points, that line, it's going to change, right? If you have if you only have 1 point in Tyros energy, here's your bite. If you have 2 points, or sorry, one of these. If you have 2 points, it's right down here. It's a lot lower. And so basically, the issue that I'm running into is it load? I have no way of telling weak auras if there's one talent in here or if there's two. All I can do is I can just choose it. If this is talented, do it. But there's no way of saying, well, if this is talented in 1 or 2. I have no way of doing that, you guys. So unfortunately, I have no way of my weak auras, you know, looking at my talents and then putting that correctly. So right now, you guys, if you're using my weak auras, you're going to see 2 bite indicators. I'm using that the way it is, but I just don't feel really good about putting that content out for you guys, so I'm asking for your help. I actually reached out to the weak auras in Discord and asked them the question, and they never answered my question, so I'm not really sure, and I've just been kind of waiting for them to update this information because maybe some other specs have the same issue. It has not happened yet, okay? So I'm going to ask you guys, maybe there's some weak aura masters out there that can help, but if not, probably what I will do is I will get rid of this second bite, basically 2 points into Tyros energy, and I'm just going to get rid of it so it's not even seen anymore. And basically what that would mean is if you do put 2 talents into Tyros energy, you're going to see this bite indicator, which basically means you're probably going to be biting at 60 energy instead of 50. I mean, is that the best thing? It's not optimally. It's not optimal, but it's visually better, and that's maybe what I'll have to do, and then I'll just be completely done with the weak aura package, and you won't have to keep checking in, be like, hey, Blue, is this updated or not? But that's it, you guys. Hopefully you enjoy the video. I'm going to go ahead and get to work. Hopefully you guys enjoy that. Links below or in Discord pinned. Take it easy, everybody. Peace out. Bye.